The world watched as Donald Trump took the oath of office for his second term as President of the United States on January 20th, 2025. Amid cheers from his supporters and a divided political climate, Trump wasted no time making bold moves. Within hours of his inauguration, he signed several executive orders aimed at reshaping domestic and foreign policies. These directives signaled a return to his America First agenda and reignited debates across the nation. This time, Trump's approach is ambitious and decisive. His executive orders span critical issues such as immigration, climate policy, cultural mandates, and technological advancement. With promises of economic growth, strengthened national security, and a shift in America's global stance, these orders aim to chart a new course for the country. However, they also face significant opposition, both domestically and internationally, raising questions about their long-term implications. Trump's return to power has not only rekindled hope among his base, but also amplified concerns among critics about potential overreach. As the policies unfold, the nation braces for the impact of decisions that could shape the future of the U.S. and its role on the global stage. This video will break down the major executive orders signed by Trump since his inauguration, examining their content, potential outcomes, and the debates they have sparked. Whether you support or oppose his agenda, there's no denying that Trump's executive actions are setting the stage for a transformative period in American politics. One of Trump's most controversial executive orders involves immigration reform, which has reignited fierce national debates. The centerpiece of this reform is the revocation of birthright citizenship for children of undocumented immigrants, a move that challenges the interpretation of the 14th Amendment. While supporters see this as a necessary step to deter illegal immigration, critics argue it undermines constitutional principles and risks marginalizing vulnerable communities. In addition to addressing citizenship, Trump's orders remove protections for sensitive areas like schools and churches, allowing immigration raids in places previously considered off-limits. This decision has drawn widespread criticism from human rights organizations, which warn that it could erode trust between immigrant communities and essential institutions like education and faith organizations. To further secure the border, Trump announced an increase in funding for physical barriers and advanced surveillance technologies. His administration aims to fortify existing border walls and deploy drones equipped with artificial intelligence to monitor illegal crossings. These measures reflect Trump's enduring commitment to border security, a key promise from his previous term. The implications of these policies are profound. While they may succeed in curbing unauthorized immigration, they also risk creating a climate of fear among immigrant communities and drawing sharp legal challenges. This bold move reflects Trump's determination to prioritize national security and control over the country's borders, regardless of the controversy it generates. President Trump's return to power brought a sharp reversal in climate policy, with his executive orders prioritizing energy independence over environmental concerns. The U.S. has officially withdrawn from the Paris Climate Accord, marking a decisive shift away from international climate cooperation. Trump argued that the agreement unfairly disadvantaged American industries while benefiting competitors like China and India. This move signals a renewed focus on domestic energy production, even at the potential cost of environmental sustainability. In line with this policy shift, Trump's orders include expanding oil drilling on federal lands and offshore sites. His administration has promised to fast-track permits for energy projects, claiming that these efforts will create jobs and reduce energy costs for Americans. Environmentalists, however, have expressed alarm, warning of irreversible damage to fragile ecosystems and the long-term risks of fossil fuel dependence. To further bolster energy independence, Trump announced subsidies for coal and natural gas industries, framing them as essential for national security. This has drawn mixed reactions, with supporters praising the move for revitalizing declining industries and critics accusing the administration of ignoring the global transition toward renewable energy. While these policies appeal to Trump's base and energy sector stakeholders, they have sparked protests among climate activists. As the world grapples with climate challenges, The U.S.'s withdrawal from global agreements and its renewed reliance on fossil fuels may significantly influence international efforts to combat climate change. Among President Trump's executive orders, a bold investment in artificial intelligence, AI, and emerging technologies stands out. His administration has committed $500 billion to developing private sector AI, aiming to establish the U.S. as the global leader in technological innovation. Trump emphasized that this funding will accelerate advancements in automation, healthcare, national security, and beyond, creating what he calls unmatched American dominance in the tech frontier. Critics have raised concerns about the ethical implications of such rapid AI development. With little emphasis on regulation, questions remain about the potential misuse of AI in surveillance, warfare, and biased decision-making. Civil liberties groups argue that this unchecked approach could lead to significant privacy violations and deepen societal inequalities. Despite these concerns, the initiative is poised to create millions of jobs in tech-related industries. The administration plans to build new training centers and incentivize companies to invest in research and development. This move is particularly appealing to young professionals seeking careers in cutting-edge fields, solidifying AI's role as a cornerstone of the modern economy. Globally, the investment sends a strong message to rival nations like China, which has heavily invested in AI. By outpacing competitors in AI capabilities, the U.S. aims to secure its position as a global superpower in technology, ensuring economic and military dominance in an increasingly competitive world. Donald Trump's return to the presidency reignites his America First policy, with a strong focus on renegotiating trade deals to favor U.S. industries. One of his first executive orders aims to re-establish tariffs on imported goods from nations deemed as economic competitors, particularly China and Mexico. Trump claims these measures are necessary to protect American manufacturing jobs and rebuild domestic industries that have suffered due to globalization. These changes also include incentives for American companies to repatriate their operations. Tax breaks and subsidies are being offered to businesses that shift production back to the United States. Trump believes this strategy will stimulate local economies, boost job creation, and reduce reliance on foreign supply chains. However, critics argue that these measures could increase production costs, leading to higher prices for consumers. In addition, the executive orders outline the establishment of a new trade alliance with countries that share Trump's vision of fair trade practices. This bloc would exclude nations accused of currency manipulation or trade dumping, further isolating economic rivals. While the alliance could strengthen ties with key allies, it also risks escalating tensions with major trading partners. Trump's approach to trade is designed to assert U.S. dominance in the global market. However, it faces potential backlash, with analysts warning of trade wars and retaliatory tariffs from affected countries. Whether these policies will yield the desired economic benefits remains uncertain, but they underscore Trump's determination to prioritize American interests above all else. President Trump's healthcare executive orders have introduced sweeping changes aimed at reducing drug prices and reshaping the American healthcare landscape. One of his first directives requires pharmaceutical companies to significantly lower the cost of prescription drugs by capping prices at rates comparable to those in other developed nations. Trump argues that Americans have long been overcharged for medications, and this policy aims to put an end to pharmaceutical price gouging. Another key reform focuses on increasing transparency in healthcare billing. Trump's orders mandate hospitals and insurance providers to publicly disclose pricing for procedures, medications, and services. The administration hopes this measure will empower patients to make informed decisions and encourage competitive pricing in the healthcare sector. The executive orders also propose the expansion of telemedicine, especially for rural areas where access to healthcare is limited. Trump has promised federal funding to support the development of digital healthcare infrastructure, enabling more Americans to consult doctors online and receive treatment without needing to travel long distances. While these policies have been praised for addressing critical gaps in the healthcare system, critics question their feasibility. Pharmaceutical companies and insurance providers have already expressed resistance, citing potential financial losses. Meanwhile, healthcare advocates remain divided over whether these reforms will genuinely improve patient outcomes or lead to unintended consequences. National security has been a top priority for President Trump, and his executive orders reflect a strong commitment to strengthening the U.S. military and enhancing defense capabilities. One of his key directives focuses on increasing military spending, aiming to ensure that the U.S. maintains its position as a global military leader. Trump has argued that a robust military is essential to both protect American interests abroad and ensure the safety of the nation at home. Trump's orders also seek to address perceived vulnerabilities in U.S. defense systems, with a focus on modernizing the military. This includes upgrading weaponry, enhancing cyber defense capabilities, and investing in new technologies like artificial intelligence and space defense systems. The aim is to ensure that the U.S. remains ahead of potential adversaries, particularly China and Russia, who have been investing heavily in their own military advancements. In addition to military upgrades, Trump's executive orders emphasize a more aggressive stance on counterterrorism. His administration has outlined plans for increased intelligence sharing with international partners and expanded operations to combat extremist groups. Trump has made it clear that he is willing to take decisive action to eliminate threats, even if it means escalating conflicts in volatile regions. While these policies have been praised by those advocating for a strong national defense, critics argue that an increase in military spending could lead to ballooning deficits and the militarization of U.S. foreign policy. Nonetheless, Trump's approach reflects a clear desire to project strength and assert U.S. dominance on the global stage. President Trump's economic agenda was significantly shaped by his tax reform policies, which he supported through executive orders aimed at stimulating growth, reducing the corporate tax rate, and simplifying tax laws for businesses and individuals. One of the most notable achievements in this area was the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, signed in December 2017, which aimed to lower the corporate tax rate from 35% to 21%. Through executive orders, Trump also sought to make the tax code simpler for small businesses and lower-income families, with a focus on making it easier to file taxes. TrumpEOs also targeted deregulation, aiming to cut down on bureaucratic red tape. He issued orders calling for the removal of 2 existing regulations for every new one that was created, encouraging a more business-friendly environment. These deregulation efforts were intended to reduce compliance costs for businesses and foster job growth, particularly in sectors like manufacturing and energy. Another significant executive action related to taxes was the reduction in payroll taxes, which Trump believed would provide immediate relief to American workers. His administration argued that tax cuts would stimulate consumer spending and boost economic activity. However, critics warned that these policies would result in a loss of revenue for the federal government, potentially increasing the national deficit. The long-term impact of these tax policies remains a topic of debate, with supporters arguing that they boosted the economy, while critics suggest they disproportionately benefited the wealthy and corporations. Trump's foreign policy was marked by a series of executive orders aimed at reshaping U.S. relations with other countries. One of the most controversial actions taken was the imposition of sanctions on countries like Iran, Venezuela, and North Korea. These sanctions were designed to pressure these nations into complying with U.S. demands on issues like nuclear disarmament and human rights. Trump's approach to diplomacy was often aggressive, focusing on America first, and emphasizing the need to protect U.S. interests globally. In the case of Iran, Trump's administration withdrew from the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA, also known as the Iran nuclear deal. His executive orders reinstated sanctions on Iran, hoping to compel the country to renegotiate its nuclear program. This move was met with significant international criticism, especially from European allies, who had supported the deal. Trump also used executive orders to renegotiate trade deals with countries such as Canada and Mexico, resulting in the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA, as a replacement for NAFTA. The new agreement sought to ensure better trade conditions for U.S. workers and industries. Similarly, Trump's administration imposed tariffs on Chinese goods, aiming to address what he called unfair trade practices. While Trump's foreign policy was focused on asserting U.S. power and putting American interests above international cooperation, these policies have been divisive, with some arguing that they have weakened global alliances and increased tensions around the world. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit, Trump issued a series of executive orders to address both the health crisis and its economic consequences. His administration prioritized rapid development of a vaccine, initiating the Operation Warp Speed program to facilitate vaccine research and distribution. Through executive orders, Trump provided financial relief for Americans, including stimulus payments and unemployment benefits. One of the more contentious actions was the executive order to provide temporary eviction moratoriums, which aimed to protect renters from losing their homes during the pandemic. Additionally, Trump signed EOs that provided small businesses with financial relief through the Paycheck Protection Program, PPP, intended to keep employees on payrolls during the economic downer. However, Trump's handling of the pandemic faced significant criticism, especially regarding the federal response to testing, personal protective equipment, PPE shortages, and the coordination between federal and state governments. His public statements often downplayed the severity of the virus, which led to accusations of mismanagement. Despite these concerns, his administration successfully rolled out vaccines by the end of 2020, a significant achievement in pandemic response. The economic relief measures were a lifeline for many Americans during a time of crisis, but there were concerns about their long-term impact on the U.S. economy and deficit. Trump's administration also took executive action to address education reform and student loan issues. One of the major orders aimed to reduce the burden of student debt by making it easier for borrowers to discharge their loans in cases of bankruptcy. Additionally, Trump's orders focused on improving vocational education programs, which aligned with his vision of creating a workforce prepared for the demands of the modern economy. Trump's education-related orders also emphasized school choice, encouraging the expansion of charter schools and private school options. His administration sought to provide parents with more control over their children's education by offering tax credits for private school tuition. This was part of a broader effort to increase competition and choice within the education system. Despite these efforts, critics argued that Trump's policies were insufficient in addressing the root causes of rising student debt and failing public schools. His approach was often seen as prioritizing individual choice over systemic reform, leaving many students and families without substantial relief. As we reflect on President Trump's tenure, his executive orders provide a clear picture of the priorities that shaped his presidency. From tax cuts aimed at boosting the economy to aggressive foreign policies that altered the global landscape, Trump's EOs were a testament to his America First approach. While some of these orders were seen as empowering businesses, reducing government regulation, and enhancing national security, others sparked controversy, especially in areas like immigration and environmental protection. One of the defining features of Trump's executive actions was his focus on deregulation. He argued that reducing government oversight would unleash the potential of American businesses and workers. But this also led to criticism, particularly from those concerned about the long-term environmental and social impacts. Trump's executive orders on immigration, including the controversial travel bans and the border wall construction, highlighted his stance on securing U.S. borders, but also polarized the nation. When it came to the pandemic, Trump's EOs were central to managing economic relief efforts and vaccine distribution. However, the broader response to the health crisis remains a point of debate, with mixed opinions on the adequacy of his administration's handling of the situation. Looking at the full scope of his executive orders, it's clear that Trump's actions were both transformative and divisive. Whether you view them as necessary steps to strengthen the country or as overreaches of presidential power, their impact on U.S. policy, economics, and international relations will be felt for years to come. Trump's legacy, defined in part by these orders, is one that will continue to spark discussions long after his time in office.